Southern California, yeah.
Born and raised on DNA. Laugh and cry to what we say. We hit you with that wordplay.
4053.
What episode are we on? D, they feeling like they be zombies, all dressed in Abercrombie.
SoCal DNA coming in live. 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. COVID got you sitting inside. Why not sip one and free your mind?
Cheap thrills, popping pills, stat cash, spend it fast.
Listen to all of those lies as Arjun act like he's surprised. Keyword, act like he's surprised. Come on, man. You know I'm gonna have to put you on the spot every now and then. Like I want you.
But you're not very good at it.
I'm not.
Very good
Well,
at it.
it's just you're so defensive all the time, man. You gotta lower the walls. You know, I'm not like I'm not like your boy who wants to build higher walls. Like I want you to lower your walls. You know, be more inviting, be more open.
But you know, the truth is, we all have walls. You know, we all have.
Not me, man. Not me. Man.
Who are you gonna vote for on November 3rd?
Oh, dude, hey, I got my ballot today actually in the mail. I was pretty happy. Yeah,
dude, nice.
I'm kind of happy about it. I'm not sure who I'm gonna vote for, but I'm pretty sure it starts with you know, there's a J in his name. But we'll see.
All right. Well, the sharp-eyed observers will know that could mean either way. I see what you did there.
See what I mean? Like the lowbrows would be like, "Oh, all right, yeah, he's voting for Joe. He's voting for Joe, right? Joe.
Yeah,
makes sense."
Yeah.
And then everyone else is like, "Wait a second, hold on. It's Donald J. Trump. Hold on, what the fuck? Hold on, like, hold on. What's going on here?"
You know, but we know our fans, our followers are the smartest in the world, right? I mean, they... Okay, well, you should really stop making that noise because they are. I believe in each and every one of our followers.
Smarter than me, for sure, but, you know, Mensa level? Come on. Let's be
it's
real,
all relative.
okay?
It's
all
relative.
The super smartest people in the world, they wouldn't be listening to our crap on the daily.
Actually, that's true. If they were really smart, they would be long gone. They would not be following our podcast.
Yeah, they would have given us, like, they would have listened to the intro and be like, this is garbage.
This is garbage. Kind of like something we're about to review in a few minutes. But before we get to that tease, I think it's only right we recap some of the greatest basketball games that I've seen in recent memory. You know, everybody knows the finals are going on, and NBA Finals. It's been 4 games now, I think. Yeah, 4 games now, and the series between the LA Lakers and the Miami Heat is now 3-1 in favor of LA.
Hell yeah.
And it sounds like, just based off of the momentum, based off of the games that happened recently, Lakers are about to close it off on Friday night at 6 p.m. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is your last chance, probably in 2020, to watch prime NBA basketball between two titans. Two really good teams.
Well, and the thing was, I think the Heat weren't expected to be as big of a titan as they are. Not only did they lose momentum after some injuries, they were able to sustain a very high, some would say championship level caliber type of play during these finals, and it's been an amazing series so far.
It really comes down to Jimmy Butler for me. I always liked him. A lot of people will know that years ago when, you know, Lakers had some money and they could really go for anybody. They could go for a Paul George. They could go for LeBron, which they did. I was actually hoping they would go for Jimmy Butler.
Really?
I really was.
As the first option.
Yeah. What I wanted was a combination of Jimmy Butler and either another wing like a Kawhi Leonard or Jimmy Butler and a big like Anthony Davis. Because to me, I don't know about you, but I'm very picky when it comes to rooting for players in the NBA. You know that about me.
You're picky in general.
You know that about me. And so with Jimmy Butler, I can really root for the guy. Like on court, the way he plays, his leadership ability, and all the stories, all the, you know, off the court stories that go on. Like even during practice, I mean, you remember he took that team of third stringers, that B string team, and just went up against the starters and wrecked them, just destroyed them. I love hearing stories.
And I think
like
that was in Philly when you had Prime Simmons.
No.
It wasn't. It was in
I
Chicago.
think that was in. It was in the Timberwolves, man. Remember he spent
that's
that
right.
year?
That's right. Yeah. With Cat, yeah. See, I would have been more impressed if it was the Sixers.
Oh, sure, because of Ben Simmons and Embiid. But hey, I mean, look,
But
Karl
still, yeah.
Karl Anthony Towns is no pushover. He's still really
Mm,
good. You think he not quite a fan of Cat? Huh?
I mean, if we're gonna look forward, do you think they're gonna make a playoff run next year?
Depends on who they get in the draft.
LaMelo Ball.
If they get LaMelo, I don't think so, man. Primarily because they won't be in the playoffs to even make a run. I would say
That was the question. Do you think
I was thinking you were thinking more along the terms of like, oh, they're already in like the 8th seed position.
No.
They make like a deep run.
I mean that's part of the basis of the question. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns, depending on who you talk to, is a all-star caliber player. I don't think so, but to many people, he is. Yeah, at least when it comes to
hold on.
When it comes to fantasy production, sure, he's definitely all-star level. But he's had help. He's had Butler, who, as you see, this past week, is a basketball savant in his own way. Do you think it's an upgrade to have Russell?
Oh, hold on, though. Let's focus on one thing at a time, because I know you're a bit scatterbrained. You like to talk about
multiple things, I'm about halfway through my drink already, so, you know.
That's true. That's true. And I will cut you some slack there. But here's my question. What do you think means to be an all-star? What does it mean? It doesn't mean that you're a contender. It doesn't mean that you're...
Okay, to be the best player on your team. Sure, he's that.
But... No, not even though, Don. Because look at this. When the Atlanta Hawks were an all-star caliber squad, they had Al Horford, Joe Johnson, who else? Jeff Teague. I think they had like 4 of these kind of mid-level players as all-stars. And even you look at like, you know, almost any other team. Draymond Green can be an all-star with the Warriors playing really well.
That's very surprising, but yeah.
So if that's the precedent, right? You can have multiple all-stars on a really good team. Yeah. Why can't you have one all-star from a bad team? Right?
I'm trying to think. All right, so when D. Russ was an all-star for Brooklyn, was he really an all-star?
He had an all-star caliber season, I would say so.
But when you compared him to the rest, you could tell he was a step under.
Well, that's why you have 13 all-stars from
you got depth in that bench, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anybody wants to see D'Angelo Russell play more than 2 minutes in the All-Star game. Not even the Brooklyn Nets want to see that, right? But does he deserve? Does he deserve to be the 13th man? Hell yeah! I think he had a great year. He had a great year for sure.
Yeah. So it's like saying, is Ingram really an all-star?
Of course he is.
He had an all-star level season, but we're talking just about raw attributes.
Okay. And here we find the crux of what Don is saying.
Sure.
So what Don is arguing is that Karl Anthony Towns, he may have all-star caliber seasons, but that does not make him a perennial. Oh man,
you went a roundabout way about that. You knew what I was trying to get to from the beginning.
Not exactly, because I disagree with the point that I just summarized for you. You know why? Look at Porque? I will explain porque.
Shout out to your burrito.
Shout out to my burrito. Yes, actually, let's briefly dip into that. So, today I was bad. I didn't have time to cook today, so I just grabbed this keto certified burrito from. They actually put a sticker on the tinfoil that says this product is keto certified from El Pollo Loco. It's like the world's first keto burrito chicken. Very, very good. Very, very good. I recommend it to everybody. Only 10 grams of net carbs. So, if you're trying to do a little bit of carb control.
It's probably like on the tortilla too, huh?
Yeah, I think so. and it's one of those whack tortillas, that's not really a tortilla. It's like super wheat. It's all wheaty everywhere and everything. But in any case, it is fantastic. And I will tell you, Porque, if you look at Karl Anthony Towns' numbers over the years, you'll see that he's been really legit, man. He's close to a 2010 guy every year. And tell me how many more bigs in the NBA are putting up numbers like him consistently.
Okay. No, which I get. But, when you're the biggest guy on the court, I expect you to get 20-10 every time. When you have no one else around you that could freaking shoot the ball, I expect you to get at least 20.
Well, let me tell you this. Let me just tell you some numbers.
Sure.
Just points and rebounds for the past few years.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
It's like you're playing.
You don't know that reference? You don't know that reference to track 9, I think. Something?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on you. I stunt. Yeah, I got you. We'll get into that.
There we go. Come on, man.
Don't worry, man. I'm saving that for later. You know, ladies and gentlemen, in case you don't know what the hell we're talking about, why we're laughing like a couple of hyenas, it's because we do have a special segment coming up very soon, where we will review.
I couldn't wait.
I know it'll be good. It'll be good. I got notes, fam. I got notes. I wrote down some shit today, and I'm sure you have as well. But let me just read you some points and rebound numbers, and you can tell me if this is a good stat line or not.
Okay.
25.1 points, 12.3 rebounds. Okay. 21.3 points, 12.3 rebounds. 24.4 points, 12.4 rebounds. And most recently, 26.5, 10-pointed rebounds. That, my friend, is more than 2010 for 4 straight years.
Yeah, he's averaging basically a double-double and more.
And more. And dude, and the
he
guy
plays
gets
stretch, right? Because he shoots a little bit.
Dude, this last season, he made 3.3 threes per game. 3.3 threes per game as a center.
I get it.
No, you don't get it.
No,
if you got it,
I understand where you're coming from. No. I don't think he's an all-star. I think he's a great player or a good player. I don't think he's an all-star.
What differentiates a great player from an all-star? Speechless.
No, it's not speechless. It's just like they're synonymous depending on what you say. Okay, he's a good player. I don't like. He's just. To me, he has yet to prove.
You're hating, Don. Wait a second.
I am hating on him.
You're super hating on him.
Because I fucking had him in my past fantasy games.
And here we go.
And he's always been like, I just decided not to grab that board this one time. I decided to hack up a ton of threes this time because coach over there says I should shoot more.
Okay, so this is exactly what I was getting at here. Don is not using logic. He's not really using.
I have bias. All right, allow me my opinions.
You can have your opinions as long as you admit that you have the I don't want to say too much about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say a dumb question right now, but I'll pose it anyways. Would you rather build a team around Cat or D. Russ? Easy answer. Or what about Wiggins? Wiggins at the time. Wiggins or Cat? Again,
you're being scatterbrained here. I will answer your first question and say Karl Anthony Towns. I'll answer your second question and say Karl Anthony Towns. So what have you
Towns?
What have you accomplished? What have you accomplished?
That's why I prefaced it, man. I prefaced it.
With what?
All right. Well, anyways, game 5.
Yes.
On Friday.
Congratulations. You can add and recite what I said.
Go ahead and move on and say I was more right than you were.
I'm killing you today, this one. I'm totally killing you.
You know what? Just like you killed that burrito.
I still actually not yet. I still have 10% to go. I'm saving it for later. It's my reward for killing you in the next segment.
No. Next segment. I think we're on the same side.
I think so. All right. So long story short, we're rooting for the Lakers.
Yep.
Yeah, he said yep. Well, I just want to say I am incredibly happy for Jimmy Butler for doing so well, leading his team to the finals, being in the finals for the first time. I'm glad Bam came back. I'm glad the series is a little bit more competitive now than it seemed to be after game 1 and all those injuries. But of course, we're hoping that next time we do this podcast, we'll be celebrating. We'll be having our own parade, if you will, a podcast parade. And we'll be sipping on something for sure.
Oh, yeah. And regardless, next podcast, we'll know the results.
Absolutely. Well, actually, is that true?
Wait. Game 5, 6. Yeah.
6 is
Sunday,
Tuesday. 7 would be Tuesday? Okay, if they don't skip a day. I think you're right. All right, so more than likely, we'll be able to recap the NBA Finals. Go Lakers, and that will be the closing for that segment.
That's an odd statement you've been making. So I think
Go
the
Lakers?
first time I've heard you say that in about a week or two.
Oh, wow. I bleed purple and gold. What would make you say otherwise?
Yeah, I'm not going to throw you under the bus that way.
You're not going to?
No, I'm not going to.
All right. But I will say, shout out to Jimmy Butler, man. I just have to say, man, he won me some money. Yes,
he also won me some money that one thing.
Actually, he did. So we're both kind of Jimmy Butler fans.
But that was when you were hating on Jimmy Butler, though. When I picked him, you're like, and then the following day, you pick him, you're like, oh yeah, all right, yeah.
I wasn't hating on him. I was hating on your pick. That's all I was doing.
Yeah. Because you were more right than me, but obviously, the results showed. I was more right than you.
Sometimes, this dynamic can be very complimentary. Other times it can be rather poisonous. And I say that because we have reviewed an album called Poison. And this album is none other... Showtime! God damn it! This is by, of course, the producer that many people are familiar with called Swizz Beatz. Better known as probably Alicia Keys' husband. I think that's probably the best introduction for him. Now, Swizz, I have heard his beats from back in the Rough Riders days with DMX, Styles P. He made definitely some good beats back in those days, and I haven't heard from him much since those days, but I always had respect for him as a producer.
Sure.
I never really put him in the same tier as like a Kanye or a Timbaland in terms of producing, but he is a legend in the game nonetheless. So I thought, hey Don, why not let's review his latest effort from 2018 called Poison. And let me just say, my overall thoughts first, and then we can go track by track. And Don, I want you to share your overall thoughts as well before we really get into it.
Sure.
So I'm going to start off with one word here, and maybe Don, you can agree to this or not. I'll just say disappointing. Disappointing. That's my first word. And usually you would expect a notable producer's album to be full of great features and top-notch production, but only the former was true for Poison. There were great features for sure. I hate to say it, but after listening to Swizz's greatest effort, I don't consider him to be a great beat maker. His ad-libs like "God damn it," and as Don alluded to, "Showtime," which used to accentuate sections of his past hits, now have grown relentless as undesirable substitutes for actual music. I didn't find anything original that blew me away here, and even the much-hyped Echo, featuring Nas, was a bit of a letdown from the production standpoint. Kendrick didn't even get a full verse on Something Dirty.
We'll go into a track by track. So
I know, but I'm just kind of providing my overall views here. So it was just a lazy chorus that I found from that Kendrick thing. And overall, when I look at a track list, right, I've told many people about this. I tend to be very judgmental when I look at a track list because I want to know who you're working with. If I see a Kendrick feature on there, I don't expect Kendrick to be on the chorus. I expect him to be on the verse. If I see a Nas feature on there or a Nas track, I expect it to be amazing, both from the production standpoint, the beat, as well as the lyrics, and so on and so forth. But I felt that this album overall fell short in the production aspect, which is just bewildering to me because this is a producer's album. If anything, at the very minimum, you would expect good production, but I just did not get that. So that's my overall view. What do you think before we get track by track?
All right. I guess on my scale compared to yours, he rates a little bit higher. Initially, upon first pass, yeah, I'll give you that. It was disappointing. You and I had talked about it, and I lamented about it, saying it gave me a headache, because it truly did the first time listening to it. This is not something, or this album is not something that you want to be listening to after you've had a full day of work, and you're pretty much scrambled up in the brain. You want something a little more peaceful, something a little, vibey, something that, even if it's upbeat, it'll get you hyped for the right reason. So I thought, given Swizz's past performances, that it would give me that little energy boost. Little did I know that that energy boost was directed in the wrong way. Did not like it. Did not enjoy it the first time around. Second, third time around listening to it, kind of mellowed it out a bit because I knew kind of what to expect. It's been a while since I've heard Swizz Beatz for an hour at a time, right?
Yeah.
So the second, third time, it mellowed it out, kind of got his point, and enjoyed it for what it was. Is it in? Well, we'll get to it at the end when we talk about recommending.
We'll do a conclusion at the end.
But yeah, no, I think if Arjun rates it at maybe a 4 or 3 or disappointing, out of 10, I'm a little bit. It's average to me.
I'll tell you my rating. I would say it's a 2 out of 5.
2 out of 5? That's not bad. See, 4, dude. You know what I'm saying? 4 or 5? 3, 4, 5? Mine's a little bit higher. A little bit higher. Yeah. I'll keep it right at that 5. It's an average album for me. Just because it did have some pieces of nostalgia. It had certain feels and vibes that you don't get in today's music nowadays, and it had the iconic Swizz Beatz feel. Not probably one that you would remember if you were to, put it side by side, but everybody has to adapt some ways, and he did slightly. Whether or not
it's funny you mentioned that. It's funny you mentioned that because here's the thing. For me, the best track on this album, which we'll get into, was the one that was least Swizz Beatz like.
Well, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Okay. So I say we jump right into it. Sure. So I'm gonna go with it. Poison intro. Right. This was with somebody. I forgot her name. I didn't write it down.
Aine Zion.
There we go. Exactly. Pronounced perfectly right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, if we go in knowing that this was, the intro, and we had no other notions of what the tracks would be like aside from who else was on the track list, it was slow. It was what I assumed to be an orchestral sort of intro that cradled you into the expectation of what the album would be speaking about. Certain quotes where it's like, hey, this wildfire in your veins cannot be tamed. I was like, okay, makes sense. Swizz's beats are usually wildfire. They're hot. They're fast. They burn. It's quick, Before you know it, it's right on your heels. And then another one, this is your awakening. I'm like, fantastic. It's been a while since Swizz produced something like this. Maybe this is him coming back and, speaking shit about the current generation of hip-hop and rap.
And then you realize that none of this is about his
So then to sum it up, that track, I was excited because it was a spoken word intro, which is hard to do nowadays. He's proven why here. And, got me slightly hyped because I knew there was more to come.
Okay. I liked the poetic intro. I thought Aine Zion's bars were vivid and evoked haunting yet inspiring imagery, backed by an equally unsettling string section. Like, for me, I divide the instrumental into the first half.
How can you with Swizz?
Well, that's why I think Swizz is at his best on this album when he's not using his patented style. I think when he's doing something a little bit out of the box for him. And I have my doubts, by the way, that he produced every track on this album.
Did you look it up? I didn't look it up.
I looked up one of them, and it said the producer was somebody else. So I thought, oh, that's kind of weird. I wonder, which of these are actually Swizz and which of these are not. But I won't get into that too much. I'll just say, I thought the string section that carried most of her bars worked pretty well. It was kind of unnerving. It was a little unsettling as well, and you didn't quite know whether to be optimistic or to just be kind of scared and worried and and nervous a little bit. And I liked that. I liked the energy that it was creating and setting the backdrop for the tracks to come.
Sure.
And then the full orchestral section after she finished doing her bars or spoken word had a very theatrical feel to it. And like Dawn, it definitely set my expectations high for the rest of the album. I was like, all right, we're in theater mode. It was going to be epic. And then I knew something was off before the next track even started. Can I tell you what it was?
What was it?
So at the very end of the intro track, the way that Swizz decided to fade out, it seemed very cheap. It seemed very gimmicky. It was like this echoey kind of fade, but it didn't sound good. And there was no reason to do a fade that way.
It sounded forced, maybe?
Yeah, it sounded abrupt. Not abrupt in the sense that, okay, boom, here's track 2. It's more like, oh, why would you fade away like that? Why would you kind of cut off the orchestra like that? It just doesn't make sense. But in any case, I think Don and I both enjoyed the intro, and we were our appetites were whet. We wanted to see what else that they had going on. So now that brings us to track number 2, and I'll go into this one first before you go. So this one is called Pistol on My Side, or P.O.M.S, P.O.M.S, featuring Lil Wayne. And some of our regular listeners who know me well may know that I always thought Lil Wayne was overrated. And I never considered him to be the greatest rapper alive, as he so often proclaimed himself to be in his prime. So it may come as a surprise to some of you to hear that I thought Wayne, aka Wheezy, did a phenomenal job throughout his entire, 2-minute 34-second opening salvo.
Sure.
His bars were crisp, punctuated by characteristic punchlines, and even a change of pace to tune up Toon Cheese, aggression to over 9,000. Even the hook was catchy. Sadly, and it pains me to say this, it really pains me to say this, the instrumental left something to be desired. Even Alicia Keys' piano couldn't save her husband's utterly unimaginative excuse for a beat. I've heard better drums from the Dee's Ableton live sessions.
Oh, that's what's up.
Honest.
Oh, I'm flexing. That's what's up.
A little shout out. You know, with that being said, Lil Wayne's exceptional performance and Alicia Keys' piano were strong enough to carry the track. To me, this wasn't bad. I thought it was decent. I didn't like the drum beat in particular. I thought it was repetitive. There was no nuance to it. But overall, Lil Wayne came with the fire, man. What'd you think?
Yeah. The only notes I have is, okay, he has a gun and ready to use it.
Yes, true.
I mean, it's typical Lil Wayne. Like you said, he came in with that swag that he has. I thought the beat fit him for his style. But, yeah, like you said, wanted more. It was forgettable when you listen to the whole album. Simple.
That's fair enough. And now moving on to track number 3, I want you to start on this
one. All right. So this is where we're going to differ.
Yeah.
So it's Come Again, featuring a guy called Giggs, or Giggs? I don't know how to say his name.
Doesn't matter. We won't talk about him beyond this podcast.
To me, it's a very strong track when it comes to like persona. Like it's very forced onto you. It's very in your face. It's what I enjoy about this kind of European rap. It's almost grungy, and it's raw in its own little way, right? It's their form of gangster rap. So to me, it was strong British rap for what it was. And and my notes for this one is, okay, you're badass, cool, parentheses sarcasm. Wasn't about it. It did get me hyped, but this was also one of those things where when I first listened to it, it was one of those headaches. Right?
I love that headache. Yeah.
No, because it was just one of those, like, I don't want to, like, there's nothing to interpret here. Why are you, playing with the trebles and the basses here and, giving no space or no air for these notes to breathe? That's just my take on it. But, upon second, third listen, it's a good British rap.
I guess I'll take it from there. I'll just say one word to begin. Trash. Absolutely trash. This guy Giggs, he appears to be some underground British rapper, as Don said. And he was just awful. Extremely breathy and very repetitive.
They got big tongues over there. They got big tongues.
And his ad-libs, too. His accent made the man straight sound more like menstruate. And it didn't help that the guy used man like 18 times in the only verse I'll likely ever hear from him. And here's what I have to say as a summary for this track. This bloke from across the pond would do better finding a new gig, because man straight garbage like a dumpster. That's how I would describe it. I hated this track the most out of everything in this album. I just thought it was awful. And maybe I am disrespecting or showing disrespect to the British underground rap scene. Maybe I just don't appreciate it. Maybe I just don't get it. But I just thought Giggs just wasn't very appealing to me. And his low voice, along with the breathy rap, just killed it. I mean, Don talked about getting a headache listening to this for the first time. I was just repulsed. I felt like just skipping the whole album after this one, to be perfectly honest. So yes, this is where we differ. We have very different opinions on this one. But without further ado, let's go to one that maybe Don might have liked a little bit more. What'd you think of track 4?
Track 4, Something Dirty, Pick Goddess.
Yes.
Featuring Kendrick, Jadakiss, and Styles P. So I love anything that has Jada in it. I think Jada is one of a kind.
Really? I didn't know you were a fan of Jada.
I love Jada. Wow. What was it? I had some lines in here that I pulled. Life is a movie and death is of the co-star. Of the co-star? I might not have copied that correctly.
Okay.
And then they call themselves the Kings, which is fantastic. So for me, again, I'm not as much of a hater as somebody. But for me, it was good energy. I wanted as probably alluded to earlier. I wanted K Dot to have a line, not just be in charge of the hooks or chorus, whatever you want to call whatever his portion was. And I did love the whole Jada and Styles riffing with each other. That was great.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I know Jadakiss is a monster. He is a veteran in the game for sure. Styles P, Jadakiss, they were part of the Lokes. The Locks? How do you even say that? LOX?
Locks. Yeah.
Locks. Okay, there you go. Clearly, I'm not a fan of them, so I'm not pronouncing their name correctly. But it was cool to see, part of the group reunite like this, and for Kendrick to be on there too. This had the makings of a potentially good track, but where it fell short to me was not necessarily the beat. I thought the beat was okay. I don't mind it too much. It was a little bit more cheery, more optimistic. It was really the fact that if you put a Kendrick Lamar feature on there, he cannot just do the hook, man. That is not a feature for me. Kendrick Lamar, just like a Pusha T feature, I would never expect Pusha T to be featured on the hook for any song. I would expect minimum 16 bars of straight fire, right? That is my expectation. So, yes, it is great that you have enough clout to get Kendrick Lamar to be on a track, but why would you make him do the hook? And even the hook itself is like kind of lazy to me. It was just very uninspiring. Like, what was like, back the fuck up, da 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 da. It was just really uninteresting to me. So even if it was a Kendrick Lamar track, I wasn't a fan of this one. So this one gets a thumbs down from me. But the next one, man, this is where we differ a little bit. Preach, featuring Jim Jones.
Yeah.
I'll say, this could have been a decent beat and one of the better tracks off the album. Actually, here's what you'll find surprising. It wasn't the breathing that bothered me. It was actually the off-key, kind of the dissonant bell synth. There's like this
couldn't
synth.
even hear it. Past the
Exactly. You were just focusing on the breathing, but for me, like, there was just like ding 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 ding. There was like this weird kind of.
How was it?
It was like ding 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 ding. It was like this little bell synth that was going on, the synthesized bell, and it just didn't work for me. I felt like the track would have been better with almost anything replacing that. But I do like Jim Jones, and for those that don't know, I used to be a big fan of the Diplomats, aka Dipset, from my high school days. So it was really cool to see a classic Jim Jones verse on there, laden with his characteristic ad-libs. He was kind of the originator, him and the rest of the Diplomats, of the whole, I'm going to rap a bar, and then I'm just going to ad-lib my own bar. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to say something at the end of my bar. Now Migos do it all the time. They, pretty much all the major rappers, mainstream rappers, they have this ad-lib style of their music. But I used to always look at Dipset as the originator. So to see Jim Jones do it, he was great. It was a great verse from him. I liked it. This would be a track that I wouldn't mind listening to again. But I'm sure Don has other thoughts.
Nope. This was where the headache was solidified.
Migraine, full on migraine.
Yeah, like 2, 3 solid. 4 pissed off because again we wanted more K Dot. I was slightly happy. I was like, all right, cool. Jada and Styles got this. And then this shit comes in. I'm not a big fan of Jim Jones, but the breathing, I just couldn't get past it. Even the second, third, fourth hearing, it frustrated me that he would use that almost without even adjusting. It's as if someone is fucking right near my head, just breathing. And like Jim Jones is on the other side trying to like screaming at me. And I'm like, yo, this isn't what I wanted. And then Styles is right in front of me like dancing for whatever goddamn reason,
Yeah, you're basically saying, please stop preaching.
Please stop preaching. Just leave me alone, like.
I got you. It's funny though, because you mentioned how the breathing never stopped and there was no variation, no nuance to it. I actually found that to be a common element in many of these tracks. It seemed to me like not Wiz, but Swizz was perfectly content just having like a very basic pattern repeat over and over again for the entirety of the track. And that's very amateurish to me, like easily you could do that. I could do that easily and I could call it a track, but I know I wouldn't like it. I wouldn't be too much of a fan of it, but for whatever reason, this is acceptable for Swizz, which is very weird. But in any case, let's go into the next one, which I think is probably the standout track. Do you want me to start on this one or you?
Sure, go for it.
All right, so I had heard good things about Echo featuring Nas, which is track 6, before I even listened to the album. So there was definitely some hype and heightened expectation. I normally don't go for the long intros to a track, but this was different. Swizz started with a great speech that blended seamlessly into a freestyle verse as the hypnotic bass line drifted in with the instrumentals and the choir coming through. And then, when the whole beat drops with a soulful sample of Echoes on My Mind by The New Birth, and Nas starts spitting, I finally had a point in the album where I stopped being critical and disappointed and just leaned back in my 17 Civic LX, chilling, bobbing my head to the masterpiece. I just had to say, it ain't a 6.3, it ain't a 73, it's a 17, it's a 17. It's the LX, by the way, all stock, nothing premium about it.
Oh shit! Not even an air freshener.
Not even. I'm still looking for that one. Still looking for the right price. You know what I mean? So after Nas's after Nas's massively underwhelming effort on the Kanye West produced Nasir.
Oh, that was good. I'm sorry.
Okay, let me recycle that one real quick. After Nas's massively underwhelming effort on Kanye West produced Nasir, which came out earlier in 2018, it was really refreshing to me to hear a prime performance from Nas. The beat complemented Nas's storytelling of echoes from his past extremely well, and undoubtedly, this was the creme de la creme, the piece de resistance of Swizz's Poison album. I haven't even dug into all the references yet on Genius, but this may be one of the few tracks off the album that I actually do. So for me, man, this was great. I would give it probably, I would say a 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 for me for this track alone. But what are your thoughts on it?
Definitely, no. I echo all the things you said. I think this was the best track. Maybe tied for the best one with the next one coming up. I think it's typical Nas being able to adapt his style to beats, though Swizz did sort of slow things down from his normal style for this particular track. And it may, be speaking levels to what you said, where we actually enjoyed the tracks that weren't Swizz, following Swizz's direction. Most likely, it was probably like Nas being like, no, let's slow down. Let's stop. No more Showtime. No more Showtime. Get that shit out of here.
Yeah, get your shit off in the beginning with that intro. Do your speech, do your freestyle. The zone that we own is a zone that we own, and we own and own and own. He said some shit like that, which is just wild. I mean, I thought it was great. And of course, Don is saying that this is probably best or maybe number 2 to the next track. So talk about the next track, man. What did you think about the next one?
So Cold Blooded by Pusha T. Oh, wait, really quick before we end on Echo, I thought that was the lamest bar Swizz had, where it's like the echo of our love is the echo of the thing is the echo of the blah. Right in the beginning.
Well, here's the thing though. The way I interpreted it, I didn't know what to expect from the track at all. Like I had no idea like what the structure would be. Let's put it that way. So when I heard the intro from Swizz, I knew that, okay, if there's no music and he's doing an intro, this has to be epic, right? And this to me sounded like, when you're at a table at some, get-together function with some friends and you just want to give like an impromptu speech, right?
Yeah, and then you regret it the next day? Yeah.
Well, not that you regret it. It's like you kind of like ease on into it and you start feeling the vibe. I felt that. I felt like Swizz was getting into it. And then eventually, when he was really feeling it, he started freestyling.
And you're like, whoa, slow down.
Like, whoa, okay, slow down. We gotta leave this party in like 10. I'm not trying to listen to the whole album here, Swizz. But then it just worked for me. I think I usually don't like intros like that, especially that sound so kind of whatever, just kind of lame.
Sure.
But it worked. The flow of it just really worked for me. But you weren't digging it. You hated that first bar.
I wasn't.
The echo of our life.
Again, this was prime headache time, so. No, it's kind of a little bit.
You were coming off the migraine. Like this was still in the migraine, and you had to be worked out of it a little bit with the echoes. Got you. All right, so you were a little bit cold-blooded after that.
With Pusha T. What was it? Again, it's a good track. I think it's another track that Swizz kind of went away from his normal style. It was a solid, simple beat. Not what I was expecting out of both people, actually, out of Push and Swizz, but it worked. And Push, of course, always coming in with some good fire, so can't complain about that. A little more deeper than usual, not enough shit talking, but a good track.
Yeah. So you already know, I was looking forward to this one.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I saw my favorite rapper Pusha T was featured, I thought, all right, maybe the other ones will be kind of whack, but at least Push is on it. Push is going to save this album. I'll say that I like the interplay between the bass line and Alicia Keys' piano. I thought there was this kind of like this eerie kind of feel to it, but yet it was hard to describe. It was like a combination of nostalgia and this kind of sadness, like sadness about the situation, the predicament, the rough upbringing of like the 90s era that Pusha T was alluding to. But at the same time, there was some hope in there. There was maybe some optimism in there. And the balance. I always like it when beats can kind of have multiple feelings layered together. So I really felt like this was a multi-layered beat in terms of the way it made me feel. But even though the piano was solid, the bass line was interesting, I could have done without the wind chime. Like there was some like wind chime or like ice cubes like rattling in a glass.
Sure.
I don't know if you remember that part, but it kept happening and I felt like it distracted from the beat. It didn't really accentuate it maybe in the way that it was intended. Similar to the bell synth I was referring to from a few tracks ago, from the Preach track. So maybe this is like a Wiz, staple. Maybe he likes to have a Swizz. This is kind of like a Swizz Beatz staple where he likes to have some kind of a wind chime or annoying dissonant sound over and over again. Now, aside from the beat, I thought Pusha T was flawless in his performance. Like this was almost like a verse from Daytona. It was very high quality, premium. There were no flaws in what he was saying. I think it was very descriptive, vulgar, and it was like something about, he had a line about, if you have the Genius open, he had a line about if you raise a savage, you have to expect the rabies. Like the way he said it too was very forceful, was very violent, but it made a lot of sense to me. Now the one thing though, can I just say, is it too much to ask to put some drums on this beat? Like, the bass line's great, the piano keys are great, but where are the drums? So I did some research, and apparently a different version of this song with drums on it was featured on Bodega Babies, a short film from Adidas. And I watched that video. Like, in case you're interested, I'll definitely link it to you later. As a matter of fact, do you think we could play that?
I wouldn't.
Okay, yeah, probably right. So Bodega Babies, the mix for this one had the drums in there, and it sounded more like a complete track. For whatever reason, Swizz decided to take out the drums for this album version. So, strange. I don't know why, but yes, this was probably one of the better tracks on the album. I would say number 2 to me after Echo. Next, we move on to 25 Soldiers, and
you know what? This is going to be all you, because what I wrote was, okay.
I like that. So when I heard this for the first time,
what is it? 25 soldiers and 25 holsters.
I got 25 soldiers, 25 holsters. They'll be running 25 times around this poster. Okay, so
I write better than that.
You do. In your sleep, you write better than that. So when I heard this for the first time, I didn't realize Young Thug was on the track. I wasn't paying attention to the theme.
And you were disappointed immediately, right?
Yeah. Well, let me just say, a couple of years ago, I actually went to a J. Cole concert with a friend of mine who might be listening in, and if she is, shout out.
Shout out.
And Young Thug was one of the openers, and I was thoroughly unimpressed at the time.
Well, he's an opener for a reason.
Yeah, he was an opener, not a closer for a reason. I was thoroughly unimpressed at the time because the man known as Jeffrey was just so lame to me. Like, I just didn't find his lyrics that inspiring. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to forget about this guy. So I suppressed his voice signature from my memory. But then, all things considered, Thugger, which is another one of his nicknames, actually did a decent job on this track. Sure. Especially the part where he rapped double time to the beat. And I think this is probably a sign of him growing. What I heard, about a year ago or 2 years ago, maybe his discography at the time wasn't complete. It was just a lot of crap to me, but he seemed to be trying something different, and so there were elements of this track that I actually liked. But as Don said, and as I was making fun of, the 25 Soldiers line being repeated over and over again by Swizz Beatz on the hook, it just didn't do it for me. So this was a pass.
Well, you want to know what else pissed me off? What else was repeating and pissed me off?
What?
Track number 9, Stunt with 2 Chainz. It pissed me fucking off. All right, where I'm coming back from my headache, I'm like, all right, whatever, bearable. All right, Swizz, I'm almost done with this shit. Where he decides to remind me about the numbers 1 through 10 to remind me how many tracks there are that I have to get through, and that I'm only on number 9, not quite there yet.
It
fucking pissed me off, because to me, if you're gonna make at least a bar and a half of just counting 1 through 10, come on. Like, if I had purchased the album, this would have just made me return it back to Tower Records. Just because it's like, dude, seriously, where is the effort? You know, I wanted to save that because I also thought that Swizz could have put a little bit more effort into the album, at least production-wise, and freaking even a couple bars here and there of substance. You know, this is where the headache became just straight anger, because it's like, all right, after you get good 2 tracks in, you know, you're settling in, you get reminded right away, yeah, I'm listening to Swizz Beatz. You know, go ahead. Oh, 2 Chainz, by the way, wasn't bad. 2 Chainz wasn't bad. Okay. Shout out 2 Chainz. Typical 2 Chainz. I just hated the counting part of it.
All right, so this is where we're probably going to differ a little bit. As simple as the countdown chorus was, I actually liked it.
Fucking hated that shit. Fuck you, man. Fuck you.
I'm sorry. You know, it just, there was something, it gave me energy. Like, you know how we always talk about, like, the new rappers kind of having more energy and hype, less so with the lyrics? Well, I felt like, you know, with the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on you, I stunned. I thought, you know what? Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, let's count. Let's count.
And at least, you know, it made sense to me. Like, yeah, okay, 2 comes after 1, and then there's a 3. What was it again? 4, 5. That's right. Oh, 6. You know. So to me, I thought it was fine. I didn't mind it as much. And then I thought in his opening verse, Swizz Beatz was kind of funny. Like, he had this flex of how he gifted Alicia Keys 2 Bugattis for her birthday, right? It was kind of a lame verse when you think about it. It's like, you know, I asked my boo what she want for her birthday. She said he wanted a Bugatti for her birthday. I was like, what? Bugatti for her birthday?
It's like I got 2 or something like that?
Yeah, so I got a 2 Bugatti for her birthday. I was like, oh, wow, okay, that's funny. That's funny. And you probably hated it, I know, but I thought it was funny. And then, of course, 2 Chainz was solid. Absolutely solid on this track. And I thought the low-cut filter on the second part of his verse worked pretty well. Like, the beat pretty much had a low-cut filter, and so it really made you listen to every single bar and gave it that much more impact. So I like that. And quite frankly, I thought this was one of 2 Chainz's better features. He's always good for a feature, but I really liked it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of his verse on Mercy, the track with Kanye, Big Sean, Pusha T. It kind of had that vibe to it a little bit. So I liked it. I thought this was one. I know you're gonna hate this. I thought this was one of the better tracks on the album.
There's not many to pick from, so I'll give you that one at least.
All right. Yes, that's true. And all right. And the last one, you can take it away.
Last one was scrolling.
Swizz Montana.
Okay, this to me is what Swizz Beatz should be doing across the board. I think his energy with French Montana's style kind of go hand in hand. I'm sure he's produced some of his past tracks, though it is not my typical cup of tea. If the rest of the album was like this, I would not be surprised that it was a Swizz Beatz album. It's what I expect out of him. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's up to you. But to me, this was a good way to end the track as a reminder. Hey, it's a Swizz Beatz produced album, at least predominantly, I hope. And I mean, I don't give a shit about what French says. He's usually talking about money and gloating and shit like that, which is fine.
Sure.
It's fine. So it's typical French. His flow was nice. Again, typical French. And Swizz's style was Swizz's style. So it just worked out. It was an energy song, right?
I after listening to that, I actually agree with you that this is the most Swizz Beatsy type of track. Like, out of everything on this album, this is what I expect from Swizz. But now I'll say, I never cared for French Montana.
I didn't either.
And this song certainly didn't change my opinion of him.
Yeah, no, I honestly, to deviate a bit, I don't understand why Drake calls him out all the time. Like, shouts him out. Do they have a history, or was he part of Young Money?
Well, when you say shouts him out, as in like,
not like talking shit, like, yo, that's my boy.
You know what I heard? I heard that French Montana is a very social rapper. Like, he mixes and blends with almost everybody out there.
Okay.
And I think in that way, he's just cool with everyone.
Okay.
So maybe that's what it is. I don't know if he has like label history with Drake. Maybe he does. Who knows? So ironically, the chorus sums up my thoughts on the song, because basically they go, a whole bunch of talking doing a whole bunch of nothing. That's really what I felt about this track. And you could argue this is kind of true for a lot of the tracks on this album.
Yep.
And perhaps in a very fitting way, to me at least, it was a forgettable finish to an overall forgettable album. That's what I'd say. It was something that I didn't really need to listen to. I realize that now. Even with the Pusha T track. Like, I could have just listened to the Nas and Pusha T tracks on Spotify. I didn't have to go through the whole album to really, build up my appetite for it.
Sure.
So now, closing thoughts. I'm gonna just get into some things, and then I want you to go. So while reading up about the album on Genius, I found an excerpt from an article written by Candice Nembard from High Snobiety that caught my attention. And in the article it says, Swizz Beatz originally had 70 songs, which he stripped.
What the fuck?
Listen. Which he stripped back to the 10 on the album. He explained, and this is the part that really pissed me off, I took all the hits off my record, meaning anything that felt too big that the rest of the record wouldn't live. Potential tracks with Kanye West, Bono from U2, and Bruno Mars failed to make the cut. And when I listen to that, when I hear that, I think that's a cop-out and an illegitimate excuse for this album.
I don't think it's an excuse. I think.
But let me finish though. I have never heard of an artist deliberately removing all the hits from the record to let the rest of the tracks breathe. The truth hurts every time it's revealed, and I'm about to keep it brutally honest. Swizz has lost his touch as a producer. He's lucky to be well connected with hip-hop luminaries and married to the great Alicia Keys to carry this underwhelming sophomore effort. So those are my 2 cents, man. What do you think overall? What are your closing thoughts?
Yeah, there's nothing special here. Swizz has his particular style, though he deviates from time to time, and we actually like it when he deviates.
Right.
He still has his style of ad-libbing here and there on every fucking bar for no goddamn reason. But you do get the high energy you kind of expect from Swizz, whether it be headache-inducing or not. I've just grown past it. But I call it, it's labeled poison. It's like poison. It induces a headache and it takes a while to set in. That's what it is.
I think that sums up both of our opinions pretty well. I like that. It is.
But anyways, man, dude, hey, we're at 55 minutes now. I say
yes,
we hit something. It's something that we want to do, where we want to get our audience involved a bit more.
Yes,
I believe you had somebody reach out to you with a particular topic that they wanted us to.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely right. And shout out to one of our newest followers. Of course, we're talking about Leroy out of Seattle.
Leroy!
That's right. Shouting out you, man. Shouting out you. And, I was basically asking Leroy.
I think I lost against this guy, with this guy a couple times. I don't like Leroy.
No, man. Leroy's really cool, first and foremost.
Oh, well, when I
he
talk
will
pure
kick
fantasy.
your ass in fantasy.
Yeah,
He will
I don't
kick
like
your
him
ass.
right now. Well, I like him now.
You like him now.
Yeah, he's all right.
That's true. He's all right. See, you hear that, Leroy? They like you. We like you. So he wanted to basically have us talk about UFOs. And he found this article written by Scotty Andrew
From where?
From CNN.
Okay.
And, this
We're
was
up
from,
we're up in the credibility here.
we're up in the credibility. No longer the Oxford Student Journal. We are now firmly on some left-wing mainstream media. So here we go. We got so this is the U.S. Navy just confirmed these UFO videos are the real deal. So there's a video in there where basically they show some footage of unidentified flying objects hurtling through the air, and the officials from the Navy didn't know what they were, but they're not indulging any hints either. So maybe it could be something kind of interesting. And I frankly, apparently, like, there was some audio captured during this video, and from 2015, U.S. fighter pilots were attempting to make sense of what they were seeing, and one of the pilots says to his colleague, "It's a fucking drone, bro." And then it's like, my gosh, they're all going against the wind. Look at that thing, dude. So I found it interesting how pilots talk like California surfer dudes, number one. But yeah, I mean, apparently, like, this could be some kind of a futuristic drone. This could be some kind of new technology that they've been working on. But what do you think, man? Do you think this could potentially be a sign that life exists beyond this planet?
I think not even the whole sign thing. I'm a believer that there is life beyond that of what's here on Earth. If you're a believer that space and everything beyond us is, or rather just the idea of infinity, if you believe that exists, I think it would be dumb to not count out the possibility that there's life out there. Some that are more primitive than us, some that are highly more intelligent and advanced than ours. I didn't read the article that came from CNN. But I have seen clips where it was declassified and things of that sort, where it kind of has the some videos have the typical shape of a UFO, right, where it looks like Rick and Morty's UFO with almost like a disc shape with some sort of pill-like structure where they sit, you would assume. And there's others where they don't look like it at all, or it's just flashing lights or whatever. I don't know. I think it's definitely true. It's just interesting to think, and this kind of goes beyond the topic. But if UFOs or different civilizations beyond our humankind are visiting us, right, quote unquote, what are they doing? Are they just observing us?
I think every smart civilization would observe before they act. Right?
I don't know. Not ours.
Well, I said every smart civilization. And so I think more than likely, if there is a supremely intelligent race of aliens somewhere out there, and they're able to not only travel quickly, but also monitor things that are light years away, I think it's more than likely that we've already been monitored. We've been under surveillance by this, alien race for years.
And they're like, no worries here. They just have little pieces of metal that basically fly at you. No big deal.
Like nothing to look at. Move on.
We'll just bring Magneto over. We'll be good.
and I would even imagine that they'd be disappointed by a lot of things. They would probably think, wow, like, look at all the resources available on this planet, but look at how little the Earthlings have done. Look at how not advanced they are. Look at how behind they are. Like, they don't even have ray guns. They don't even have like teleportation yet. So I would imagine it's a gamut of things, right? We always think of aliens as being superior, and it's not superior, but like kind of like these super smart beings with like tons of technology and whatnot. But it could easily be the other thing that you mentioned. They could easily just be like organisms in water or in pockets of water inside rocks that are technically alien because they're not from here, but nothing like what we imagine from the sci-fi movies we watch. So I don't know. I think it's hard to say what's out there, but I am a believer that we can't be the only ones in this whole universe. I used to be one to believe that was the case when I was in high school. But some friends of mine, I think including Leroy, who recommended this, he might have actually told me, like, how could you believe that? Like, how could you think that we're all alone in this universe? There has to be something out there.
Sure.
And the more I thought about it in discussions with you and other people, I realized I'd be a fool to think we'd be alone in this universe.
Yeah.
There's got to be aliens.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely interesting because I would assume, given my human mind that may be limited compared to these higher level beings,
Right.
they would do something. But if they're just leaving us alone, I would err on the side that they're just not worried about us.
I think they're unimpressed.
They're unimpressed. They're like, oh, they have these resources? We got better shit.
I think so. I think so. It'd be funny, though, and we can get into this another time, but it'd be funny if we were all just entertainment for, like, another being.
Oh, yeah. There's a perfect Rick and Morty show, or episode that does that.
And I was actually going to say there's a perfect South Park episode that covers it too, where basically Earth is a TV show,
sure.
And they have to basically, find a way not to get canceled because the aliens are sick of us. It's just the same old thing all the time. But it's important before we close to know that you have to be adaptable to the situation. And why do I say that? It's because, and Tony Angus Cummins from The Ultimate Art of War,
Okay.
Lesson 9.
I'm just going to let you in. I'm not even going to pick it up.
I got you. From Lesson 9, he basically says from Sun Tzu's Art of War, be adaptable to the situation. With a full assessment of the 5 constant factors and the 7 considerations, a military commander can now understand the situation, if they have perceived it truthfully, and identify the advantages and disadvantages of each side. After this, they can field an army in the most appropriate way for the situation. However, you must be flexible. Too rigid an approach will make it easy for the enemy to read your intentions, so be ready to change any elements that need changing according to the situation. And for all you warmongers out there, here's a war tip. An incorrect understanding of the situation will lead to bad strategy. So a good military commander must see the truth of the situation and plan and respond accordingly. Never lie to yourself. So I like that one.
I think so. I think we can adapt that, right? I mean, with Swizz, I kind of went in. I wasn't very adaptable to it initially. That's probably why I got the headache, man. I was expecting something else. Did not adapt. God damn it! I gotta listen to what was his name again?
Which guy? Giggs or
no.
It's Antoningus Cummings. Antoningus Cummings.
I gotta listen.
Interpret that as you will.
I gotta listen to it.
There you go. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you to all of our new followers out there. I know you guys and gals have been listening on Spotify, and we really appreciate that. We are still uploading on YouTube for the time being. And of course, check us out on the other platforms if you like Apple Music or Google Podcasts, whatever it may be. And keep giving us your ideas. Like today, shout out to Leroy. Thank you for that great suggestion. We talked about the UFOs from the CNN article. If anybody has anything for us to review, whether it's music, pop culture references, albums, whatever, movies, we will do it for you. For
1,
your
2,
entertainment.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You want to finish that bar, Don? You want to finish the rest of that one?
I feel disappointed in myself for even getting to 10.
Considering that. It's catchy, though, see? It's catchy.
Well, it's fucking 1 through 10!
I know. And from that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll give you a 3, 2, 1. Peace out. And we'll see you next time.